Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vidyapitha Vidhataram Vidyavaridhi Chandiram Vidyarthivatsalam Vande Mahamahima Sadgurum. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the previous part, we knew how Vasudeva convinced his parents Madhwacharya and Vedavati Devi to grant him permission to enter the holy order of Sannyasa Ashrama. As per previous conditioning, the couple accepted so after the birth of Vishnutirtha, his younger brother. When Vasudeva expressed his desire to leave behind everything, all the worldly pleasures, and become a sannyasi so as to preach the great Dvaita philosophy and remove all the doubts from the minds of people, his father Madhwacharya simply humiliated Vasudeva by showing a simple wooden stick and said that the minds of the people today have become like this stick. It has become completely dry and rotten. There is no chance to bring any change in the people's minds. Madhwacharya, Vasudeva, listened to his father very keenly. He simply nodded and put that rotten wooden stick in the ground and asked his father to come and see the stick the next day. To their utter surprise, the stick which was put in the ground the next day started to spring and became a huge tree. Madhwacharya, Vasudeva, this way showed us that where there is a will, there is a way. A rotten stick also brought a ray of hope, and Madhwacharya couldn't say no to his child. Hence, in the Ananteshwara temple, in the presence of Lord Ananteshwara, filled with crowds of people on all the sides, on an auspicious day, Achyutapreksha Tirtha initiated Vasudeva into the sacred order of Sannyasa Ashrama and made him the successor to the throne. He was given the name Purna Bodha Tirtha or Purna Prajna Tirtha. In brief, Buddha meaning knowledge or jnana, which means one who is completely knowledgeable and aware of everything. This became a memorable occasion. There was a complete flutter on all the minds of people. The young boy Vasudeva, at a mere age of 7 to 8 years, left behind all his family, his belongings, his childhood pleasures, everything behind. He simply parted along with the simple ascetic clothing, what we call it as Kashaya Vastra, and took his dhanda, the knotted band of order. The bald head, the rude garments hardly diminished, they were hardly seen, but it never affected the glorious charm of Vasudeva. When he went around the temple of Ananteshwara and took the circumambulance, what we call it as Pradakshina, with his bowl and danda, and finally prostrated himself on the feet of Lord Ananteshwara, the scene became so much memorable. The poet here describes very dramatically and very poetically sense. There was not even a single eye which was not filled with tears. There was not a single throat which was not choked by emotion. It was a glorious moment for Achyutapreksha Tirtha. He felt that it was the proudest moment of his life when he placed his hands on Vasudeva and blessed him with the name Purna Bodha Tirtha and made him successor to the great throne of Uttaradi Matha. Here, the poet explained the situation or the circumstances of Vasudeva's entry of holy order. Here, in this situation, who are the people involved? Vasudeva, his parents, and Achyutapreksha Tirtha. First, let us see Vasudeva. The boy Vasudeva was not the age to have become tired of life, leave behind his parents, his pleasures, his childhood luxuries, his naughtiness, his desires, nothing. Then Achyutapreksha Tirtha. He didn't force the child or the parents by showing some greedy needs of some silver or gold to grant permission to child Vasudeva to take the holy order of sannyasa ashrama. And the parents were also not pressurized, and it was not the pressure of parents, as in many cases we see, for instead of tolerating the child, tolerating his naughtiness, nor lack of some accessories to feed or bring up the child, they would send the child to holy ashrama. The child Vasudeva powered everything that is necessary by the worldly wise people, everything that would make his life worth living. Achyuta Prekshitirtha had dazzled his vision, and his parents did a vigorous protest and opposed the child's desire. The parents were against it, and Achyuta Prekshitirtha was not against it, but he had no rights to order Vasudeva to take the holy order of ashrama. All this happened only on a single stand. Who? It was Vasudeva. It was solely Vasudeva's resolution, not any personal consideration whatsoever. Only it was the resolution of Vasudeva to enter the holy order of sannyasa ashrama, to establish the great Madhva philosophy, the Dvaita philosophy, and to remove all the strangled minds' doubts regarding the previous philosophies. Here, Purnabodha entered a new phase of his life. He took to his new duties with great enthusiasm. It took away hardly any time to master the routines of new order and faithfully pass through the proper observances. The hypocrisy here is we are judging the great Vasudeva itself, Vayudeva, who took birth as a human on this earth. Vasudeva, all by his mischief, how he showed his valor, might in the Gurukula, everything swept off in a second. Now there was a great hermitable sage, a veritable sage, pursuing a career of study and medication and commencing the campaign of crusade against the faulty systems of philosophy and religion, that too when at a mere age of 7 to 8 years old. That was the charm shown by Vasudeva, Purnabodha Tirtha. As it was a parampara or a tradition, what we say, to go to the north and take holy dip in the waters of river Ganges. Purnaprajna Tirtha sought permission of his guru in order to perform a pilgrimage to river Ganga and Badri Kshetra. Achyuta Preksha was unwilling to grant it because he couldn't bear the separation from his disciples so soon after the initiation. Achyuta Preksha Tirtha said that Lord Ganges would herself come to Udupi in a holy pond once in 12 years, and Purnaprajna Tirtha need not undertake the journey just then immediately. Such was the bonding between Achyuta Preksha Tirtha and Madhwacharya. The name Purnabodha fitted his prodigious intellect, and it is also the same name indicated in the ancient Shruti where Vayudeva is called Dashapramati. The poet also says that once when Achyuta Preksha Tirtha went with Purnaprajna Tirtha to the temple of Lord Ananteshwara, the Lord made a presentation by saying through his lips of an inspired person that take the fruit of your long penance, which means the fruit was Purnaprajna Tirtha himself. This sarga explained the exceptional merit held by Vasudeva. Many verses line by line explain the same. Achyuta Preksha had not only accepted his Shishya to be a child prodigy, he was naturally anxious to train him up into a learned scholar fit to occupy the seat of knowledge, the throne of knowledge. When, with all enthusiasm and eagerness, he started to teach the young disciple. Achyuta Preksha Tirtha chose the work Ishtasiddhi, one of the 5 famous works in the literary tradition of Advaita. The very first verse presented a hurdle. Totally, the Shishya the disciple Purnaprajna Tirtha raised 32 objections, none of which the Guru couldn't answer, and he was staggered at once. The teaching stopped where it started. On the pressure by the Pandits and present 1,000 people upon the order of Achyuta Preksha, Sri Madhva himself explained the Advaitic point of view which he refuted and began his discourse. Thus, the young Purna Prajna gained full command of the learned audience and began his uninterrupted discourse. People assembled in great numbers to hear the discourse of Purna Prajna. Sri Madhva was simple. He didn't show off anything with a simple ascetic clothing upon him. He simply didn't do some chit-chatting in front of some laymen, but instead in an assembly of Pandits greatly trained in their respective branches of learning. The Pandits were also very eager to improve their knowledge on the subject. Such was the reputation of the versatility of Sri Purnaprajna Tirtha, that even great scholars felt that they had something to learn from the young and shining Yati. The study of Sri Sumadha Vijaya leaves us a very good lesson in our minds. Actions of Sri Madhva, the world teacher, have always a purpose, just as the various leelas of the Lord are full of inner purposes. From the actions of Sri Purnaprajna Tirtha, we understand that whatever he does, everything was for a reason. There lies behind a reason for everything, though we may not know at the particular time, but in the gradual period of time, we surely get to know. Like how whatever Lord Krishna does, there was a particular reason behind it. Purna Prajna followed the Lord to fulfill his mission. This chapter doesn't end here. It gives a major lesson, a valuable advice to all of us. What is it? We must be very much keen to it. What is the valuable lesson given to us? If you are learned, then teach. If you are not, then learn. I repeat it. If you are learned, if you are knowledgeable, then pass on your knowledge to others. If you are not, then gain knowledge from others. There is no hesitation in this. There is no other alternative to secure the knowledge, because in the Madhva tradition, study and teaching take precedence when compared to any other religious discipline. Because solely from knowledge itself, what we gain it from our Guru, we can make our path towards the salvation. Because the Guru himself is a sole person who would lead us to the path of moksha, to the path of salvation. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.